Hello everybody and welcome back to Hearts of Iron, where we are currently working on acquiring Europe, and it's kind of slow going, to be sure. Unfortunately, Britain is... Oh. Okay, I am not pressing a button right now on my mouse. This happens sometimes, I've noticed. When the game first starts up, it just has a mouse button that gets stuck. I'm not sure if it's because I'm like tapping in and out and doing other things while it's loading. That's probably what's going on with it, but I still find it entertaining. So as I was saying, Britain is up to their old tricks. And we're not happy about it. But that means that we pretty much just need to chill here and make purchases. So that's what we're doing, but we kind of ran out of things to purchase in a really awkward sort of way. How are we doing on our coring, though? 2 days? Okay. So that's understood. We do have things we can purchase right now. But I think what I'm going to do for the moment is we need to save up a decent chunk of political power. So I'm going to actually... There's absolutely nothing happening right now. And there's nothing for us to do other than, like, queue up land forts. So I'm going to cut out a little bit here. We'll be back when we've got maybe, like, 200, 250 political power. Something like that. See you guys in just a moment. Okay, so, I lied. We're at 100 political power. I couldn't take it. I was just sitting here, queuing up land forts, and I'm like, I need to babble incoherently into the microphone. It's amazing. So we're just going to continue to queue up land forts over here. And we are going to have enough political power to get another core going very shortly. And then from there, it's only 10 political power to start rolling on acquiring new territory. So we're most of the way to where we needed to be from our political power. So that's absolutely wonderful. I'm just going to queue up this whole area over here. By the way, this area I queued up off camera. And this out over here, we'll just get this done, and then we'll call that good for now. So we're up over 120 at this moment. That's understood. We can continue to bank political power, and that'll be absolutely fine. Eventually, we'll get all this queued. There we go. Had to click some of those multiple times, but that's pretty normal once we get into the late game of Hoi. So at this point, we are going to core CM. There we go. So that's underway, and that will remain the case for 239 days. So that'll probably last basically the rest of this episode. So that seems great. I think going forward, what I should do is, like, every episode, before I start the episode, I should just, like, build up 120 political power, just in case. We will spend it. And that'll mean that there's more action in the actual episode and less sitting around waiting, which would be nice. But like I've said previously, I do greatly appreciate the fact that the East India Company has managed to make World Conquest excessively boring and into an administrative office job. Just absolutely soul-crushing. It's perfect. Hey look, there's a war in Chile. That did not happen in the time that I cut out, which wasn't all that long. It was maybe like 3 or 4 minutes. But yeah, there's a war in Chile again. So that's hilarious. Let's see if we can get the Swiss Alps from the Communist States of America. They're willing to give us the Swiss Alps. Okay. What about Veneto? No, they're not willing to give us Venice. Okay, fair enough. We just need to keep going through this list and getting what we can. But, of course, we need political power to make that all happen. Is this one going? Okay, yes. So we got a few locations there. Anyway, let's get some infrastructure going in here. So I see 2 locations that need infrastructure. And then anti-air in those same 2 locations. Neither of those are coastal forts, so it should be fine. And then we can just go around and re-up our civilian factories as usual. Fantastic. So we'll just reinvest our profits back in. The war in Chile is over. I'm sure there'll be another one in a couple of months, and we can get... This is actually fewer factories being queued up than I expected. Interesting. I guess not very many of those were accepted, but sure. Let's get Lombardy if we can. They gave it to us, surprisingly. What about Trentino? Where even is that? Ah, right over there? Okay, sure. Autosave is occurring, and what do we get? No. So we only got one location there. Once again, political power is a little bit of a problem for us, but we do want to get all of this built up as quick as we can. Fantastic. So yeah, I definitely think saving up like 120 at either the beginning or the end of the episode, like before we go into the next episode, is probably a good idea going forward. Because we're very gated by political power, although it's going to become better and also worse at the same time if I do that, though. And the reason why I say that is because this is great to have that political power until such a time as we run out of hostile takeovers to roll here. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. And then once we don't have those to do, we're not going to have ongoing construction to do, and all we can do at that point is spend political power. That's literally the only action that we'll be able to take. So that's, you know, exciting stuff. Let's go ahead and get this in here. Fantastic. We got a chunk of Germany there. Let's see if we can get some of Poland. We did. Excellent. What about more of Germany? We got it. Beautiful. And now we can try to buy the Swiss plateau. The Communist States of America have been pretty willing to give up Switzerland to us, but not that chunk. Okay, fair enough. Well, looks like only one area of infrastructure being needed over here. And then we can check the anti-air. There are a couple of anti-air areas that can be built. Sounds good. And then, of course, we can queue up our factories. Gotta love the soul-crushing office work. This is one of those areas where I say that this game would really, really, really benefit from a macro builder like Europa has. Just a list of locations where you can build a particular type of building and you can just spam click the list. Rather than trying to find the location, that would be really, really nice to have. Unfortunately, that is not a thing. But one thing that Hoi 4 does have that for some reason Victoria... Hang on. We can build a factory here. That some reason Victoria doesn't have, we can drag and drop priority. I really wish you could do that in Victoria. So yeah, basically what I'm looking for is feature parity amongst the Paradox games on construction. It'd be very nice. To be honest, I would love a macro builder like that in Crusader Kings as well. That would be very convenient. But alas, that's not how it works. So at this point, we've got 42 political power. We can continue to do these hostile takeovers. So let's see what we get down over here. Excellent, we got that. What about more of the Swiss Alps? We got that too. We're now technically at borders with France, so that's good. Can we get some of Germany? No. What about Piedmont? No. Okay. Well, we'll just continue to roll these. And we got some territory from the Communist States of America there. Perfect. So, infrastructure is the next thing here. We need to do an infrastructure pass. Looks like only 2 locations here. Anti-air, 3 locations. Perfect. And no coastal forts from any of that, right? Wait, there are some coastal forts here. Up here. And down here. Excellent. So we'll get that underway, and then we'll need to get our civilian factories done. Cool. And by the time that's done, we'll have a decent chunk of political power and can do it all over again. Eventually, we'll get to the point where we don't care about getting into a war with the Allies. I would prefer them to declare on us rather than the other way around, but to be honest, I don't think they're going to try that. It would be very silly of them to try it at this point. We've got way too much. Like, there's no way. There's no way. So at this point, I do want to do more hostile takeovers here, so we can get several more of these done. Oh, Provisional Government of the Kingdom of Morocco causing this to change. I think that was what caused that to change. No, get out of here, Morocco. Okay, Germany, I want your land. No? Sad. How about this land? No? Sad. Okay, Communist States of America, we've tried this so many times. They really don't want to give us Dalmatia. Why? We've tried this like 7 or 8 times. Are we just unlucky? Because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, there's nothing that special about this. It's got a level 3 naval base. It doesn't have any resources. Why? Why don't they want to give us that? That's kind of nuts. Okay, well, we'll try to buy Mecklenburg. We got it. Fantastic. What about Brandenburg? We got that too. Okay, that's actually a very big deal. We're getting quite a lot of Germany here, although they said no on that one. French Commune? Definitely not. Get out of here. Okay, so next up, we of course need infrastructure in some of our newer acquisitions over here in Europe. And there's only one infrastructure location and only one anti-air location. Remarkable. There will be some coastal forts here. So that's great. We'll get all of that done. And of course, civilian factories. So we'll need to get this up over here. There we go. Everything is looking good. Okay, factories down here. This needs a factory. This needs a factory. Up here, over here. This should, I think, as well. Yes. And down in Africa, just down here. And North America. Perfect. So that'll go pretty well. Okay, so next up, we need to get more. We still have some hostile takeovers available here, so let's see what we've got. We got that one. Perfect. And next up would be Savoy. We got it. So we now technically encircle almost all of the communist states of America over here. So next up would be the Jura Mountains, which we'd love to get. That's a bit of an exclave for them, but they're still not willing to give it to us. And then Abruzzo. That we got. Okay, sure. And then we can roll one more here, Tuscany. We got that as well. So that is absolutely ideal. That's quite a lot of coastal territory as well. So we'll get all of that queued up. All of the anti-air queued up. Fantastic. And now we'll need some coastal forts. So, hey look, there's a war in Chile. I'm going to call that out every single time because the more times it happens, the funnier I think it is. Like, at this point, it's a really old joke. This has happened dozens of times. But it's the repetition that's funny. It's not the war. It's the fact that it keeps happening. Okay, so now we of course need to do our civilian factories here. Okay, that was laggy. But there we go. Let's get these all queued up. Fantastic. So next up, we can go up over here, and what do we got? Is this a spot? That's a spot. Perfect. More civilian factories. All the administrative work. There we go. This is a spot that can be queued. There we go, a very small spot, but a spot nonetheless. Okay, so that all looks good. The war in Chile is over, again, and I think we need to check North America. Excellent. There we go. So now we're ready to do more purchases. What have we got available? We're actually pushing this pretty far at this point because there haven't been that many declinations. So that's a good thing for us. We'll try to buy Holstein next. No. What about Hanover? No. What about Istria? Yes. Some of France. What are we going to get down over here? Nothing. Okay, so we got a couple of provinces there. It wasn't much on that particular cycle. We do need to build here, and is this a spot? No. Okay. We just need to get our coastal forts queued up. If we have any, we should. Yeah. Just right there. That's a location that needs it as well. Perfect. And now our civilian factories, once more, while we wait for that political power to roll in. So that sounds good. If we're going to... Hang on, is this? Yup. Okay. So if we are going to run out of locations to purchase before we get, you know, out over here and get to the sea, if we're going to run out of locations to purchase, then we need them to say no. Saying no is not actually a bad thing. It means we can invest our political power in other things while that's on cooldown. There's a autosave occurring, but we need to get a queue right here. There we go. Otherwise, that looks good. Okay. Let's see what else we can do. We're starting to break into France at this point. Excellent. And they're giving us a lot of territory, actually. Wait, where is Lazio? Oh, right down over there. Sure. They're unwilling to part with that. I mean, that contains Rome, so I'm not necessarily shocked about that. We can try to buy Campania and surround it. Yeah, we got that. Beautiful. So, this list is getting pretty short at this point. That's absolutely noted. We do need to get some infrastructure down over here and some anti-air. Excellent. And let's also, of course, put up some coastal forts. So these are going to go down over here. And perhaps a little over here. Yeah, there is some. Perfect. I think that's about it as far as the coastal forts go. So next up, civilian factories. Gotta get these replenished. Okay, so that is, of course, absolute top priority to get those done, and the cycle repeats over and over and over again. It'd go faster if they would say yes every time, to be honest. We would definitely have more things open up, but it would be fine. So that looks good at this point, and we're up to 40 political power. So let's see what else we can get. Excellent. We're getting a good chunk of Italy at this point. They're still unwilling to part with Venice. Okay. But we have gotten some here anyway. Calabria is the next location. And I don't think we can get to Sicily, can we? Oh, there is a crossing here, so we should be able to get into Sicily. Beautiful. So we can try to buy the Swiss plateau. No, they're not willing to give us that one. And Sicily is the only thing left on the list at this point. I kind of just want to wait it out and get this at least on cooldown if they say no, but I'd love to purchase Sicily. So that's all looking good in theory. Let's see what they say here. They gave us Sicily. Okay, so as of right now, we don't have any more purchases. We have to wait out the cooldowns. So that's okay. While we're doing that, of course, we have constructions that we need to do. So let's get some infrastructure built here in those new locations. There we go. And some anti-air. I like it. And then, of course, some coastal forts. There's a lot of coastal fort down here. Turns out Italy has some coastline. That might be shocking to you. If it is, I suggest that you look at a map. It should not be shocking to you. Here's a map right here. Look at that. That's a lot of coastline. So that is absolutely wonderful. Ah, okay. So some of these are coming off of cooldown now. That looks good. And we are going to, of course, still need to build these civilian factories. So let's get that done. And we'll just save up some political power. We can work our way through those purchases very, very quickly, as long as we have the political power and the factories to do it. We just need to make sure that we have both. So we'll get all of this queued back up. That's all looking good. What about in Southern Africa, in Britain, and in North America? Okay, so that all looks fine. We need Alaska, but otherwise, that looks good. Wait, that's a location that we can queue. Okay, fantastic. So, out over here, we still have our railway gun chilling in France. That's kind of awkward. I'm sure it'll get out eventually. I don't really care about it, to be honest. So we have two purchases that we can try to do. One is Württemberg from Germany, and they're unwilling to part with their land. And the other is Piedmont from the Communist States of America. That's been declined to us in the past. Okay, we have another one that popped in. Unwilling to part with their land. Okay, so these are starting to come off of cooldown, for sure. We can try to buy Franken. No. And Dalmatia, again. Finally got it. Okay, so that's great. Next would be Zadar, which is this area right here. We were blocked previously from that by Dalmatia. But we are now out of locations to buy, for now, until the cooldowns expire. And we're going to, of course, begin work on construction in some of these areas. So a little bit of infrastructure, a little bit of anti-air. There we go. And there's definitely coastline in there. And I think I forgot to queue up this section of coastline previously when I was talking about the fact that Italy has a lot of coastlines. It absolutely does. And it has a back coastline and a front coastline, as it turns out. So there we go. That's fine. That is underway. And let's get some civilian factories going. We're definitely rolling these faster than they're going to be coming off of cooldown at this point. So that means that we are going to have political power to throw into developing resources, which is great because I think that is how the East India Company would do it. They prioritize getting more land first, and then when they can't get more land, I would think that they would prioritize developing the land that they have. So let's see what we've got here. More Germany. Unwilling to part with their land. Hey, look, there's a war in Chile. Okay, so that's all done now, and this is going to be a very long list here. A very long list indeed. I'm just going to minimize that. There we go. And we can begin working on some of these prospect for resources. Are all of these 25? They are. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started in Arkansas. Looks good. So that seems great, and that of course means that until we start to see more purchases populate in, there's not a lot that we can do other than just prospecting for resources. I do want to check in on how we're doing on our coring, which is going to be in here somewhere. 13 days. Okay, I think we're going to do this as 1 core per episode. So we'll just have 120 political power at the start of each episode would be the idea. I just let the game run until that point. So Chile has taken a state. That sounds good. And that way that won't cut into our development. Ooh, we can actually buy the Jura Mountains. I'm going to try. We got it. Fantastic. And now a lot of these French locations are available. And there's also a German location available. Let's see if we can get that. We got it. Fantastic. And then some French. Yep, we got it. Okay, so these are definitely starting to come off of cooldown here. Or actually, these aren't coming off of cooldown. We're just unlocking access to more locations because they're accepting these. Let's see what we get here. Fantastic. We got it. Okay. Time to do a little construction here. No infrastructure needed, but there is some anti-air. We're not going to need any coastal forts for those areas. So now we can just go through and do this. So we're going to need to queue up a bunch of civilian factories, as per usual, and just continue to very slowly and painfully boringly take over Europe. But to be honest, Europe kind of deserves being taken over in a very boring fashion. I love it. This is really very perfect. It truly is. Is it boring? Yeah. Is that not necessarily great from a game design standpoint? Yeah. But thematically, it's spot on. And the fact is, you don't have to play like this. And you probably shouldn't. But it is funny. Okay, so we'll get all of that going. And there we go. And it is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to have... I'm going to target maybe like 200 political power when we start up the next episode. So that'll be absolutely fine. We can get some of these purchases done. We can get a core going. That'll be absolutely wonderful. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, Roar Naz, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.